Knive. Yeah. What's going on, YouTube? It's Unger to the Max here. A salute to you. See, I did bring it back. I don't know if I'll bring it back all the time, but for special occasions, I think I'll include the salute. And this is a special occasion. You want to know why? Cleveland Cavaliers, and I'm wearing a Cleveland Cavaliers t-shirt. Why? Because as the title indicates, it's Cavaliers opening night, baby! And we are in Orlando to take on the Orlando Magic. Which we should be able to win this game, although we struggled in Orlando last season. And the only reason the Magic made the playoffs last season is because the Eastern Conference is just that bad of a conference. They're just that bad. I mean, the number 8 seed in the playoffs last season, the Detroit Pistons, were exactly at 500, 41-41. Compare that to the number 8 seed in the Western Conference, the Los Angeles Clippers. They were 14 games over 500. Again, the Pistons, the number 8 seed in the East, were exactly at 500, 41-41. The Clippers were 14 games over 500. So, and many of the top players in the NBA are out east. Or, I'm sorry, my mistake, are out west. They're not here in the Eastern Conference. The best players in the Eastern Conference I saw a list. Only 2 of the top 6 players in the NBA today are in the East. Everybody else was in the West. The West has been the best conference in the NBA for the past couple of seasons. I mean, the East has been lucky to have 2 NBA champions in 2019 and 2016. Straight up. So I know the NBA Finals are Eastern Conference champion against Western Conference champion. So what? So we're probably going to end up with an NBA Finals of Clippers against Bucks, Clippers, 76ers, Lakers, 76ers, Lakers, Bucks, maybe the Nuggets, maybe the Jazz, maybe the Rockets. But who else from the East? The Nets? No, they don't have Kevin Durant. They only have Kyrie Irving. They'll do some damage in the playoffs, but they're not making it to the finals. The Boston Celtics? No. I mean, yeah, they have Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, Gordon Hayward, but, you know, he was inserted into the starting lineup last season before he was ready. And you saw the fracture that happened then in that locker room. And Kemba Walker kind of plays the same style as Kyrie. So we'll see. Indiana, yeah, they're good, but they're not a championship caliber team. So really, the only 2 legitimate contenders in the East are Philadelphia and Milwaukee. That's it. Which is why I am proposing that the NBA change its playoff format. Instead of doing, the top 8 in the West on one side and the top 8 in the East on the other side, you just take the top 16 teams in the league, whether they're East or West, and you put them in a playoff series. I mean, yeah, it would be annoying with travel and TV and all that. I get it. But like with the Clippers-Lakers, which interestingly, LeBron in his post game said, hang on, let me get the exact quote. I don't know the exact quote, but I believe he said something like, Lakers-Clippers is not a rivalry. Are you stupid, LeBron? Are you stupid? Like, LA is the center of the basketball universe. You have arguably the two best teams, not just in the West, but I would argue maybe the best two teams in all of the NBA playing at Staples Center. Although I don't know how much longer the Clippers are going to be in Staples Center, because I believe they're building a new arena in Inglewood, California, which I guess is just outside of LA, just like the Rams and Chargers. Although I saw a report the other day that the NFL has offered the city of St. Louis the Chargers, which, I mean, St. Louis never should have lost the Rams. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with the Edward Jones Dome, so I'd be fine with the Chargers going to St. Louis. Although, again, I've said this once and I will say it again. The Chargers never should have left San Diego. Never. That's your fault, Spanos. Your fault. Okay, let me calm down a little bit. Sorry, I know I just went on a little bit of a tangent, but hey, when you get fired up about something, it happens. What can I say? But anyway, getting back to the NBA before I went on my little tangent. I say take the top 16 teams in the NBA, regardless of East and West, match them up in a playoff series. Maybe you do 1 versus 16, 2 versus 15, 3 versus 14, 4 versus maybe 1 versus 16, 2 versus 15, 3 versus 14, 4 versus 13, 5 versus 12, 6 versus 11, 7 versus 10, and 8 versus 9. And you see what happens. If you end up with, Clippers against the Lakers in the NBA Finals, it's fine. I mean, look at the WNBA. I know the WNBA doesn't quite compare to the NBA, but I'm going to use the comparison anyway. So the WNBA did away with the standard playoffs, and they've now moved to, just seeding the teams at sorry, my mouth sometimes gets ahead of my head. It happens. I'm sure it's happened to you a couple times. What was I just saying? Oh, so the WNBA does it where, regardless of what conference you're in, you might still get matched up with the opposite conference. Like this year, in the semifinals of the WNBA playoffs, the Las Vegas Aces got matched up with the Washington Mystics, and the Connecticut Sun got matched up with the Los Angeles Sparks. Now, the one problem there's two problems I have with the WNBA playoffs. First off, the first couple rounds, like the first 2 rounds, I believe, are single elimination. They should at least be a best of 3, maybe best of 5. And speaking of best of 5, that's the other problem. The WNBA finals are a best of 5. But if it's like a really thrilling, evenly matched series, I would like to see it go 7 games instead of just randomly stopping at game 5. Like, game 5 does not have the same ring as game 7. I would argue game 7 are the best 2 words in sports. I would argue game 7 is more famous than drivers, start your engines. I mean, yeah, when you say Super Bowl, you think of a lot of stuff. And, you think of all these great games like Super Bowl 52 and Super Bowl 51, where if the Falcons had kicked a field goal towards the end of the first half instead of trying to go for a touchdown, they would have been up 31-3 instead of 28-3. And then the Patriots' comeback would have been invalid because they still would have been trailing 31-28. And then, of course, when you say Super Bowl, many people think of Super Bowl 49, where my explanation to why the Seahawks did not run the ball with Marshawn Lynch on the 1 yard line is this. The Seahawks had just, I believe, to get down to the 1 yard line, they had just used Marshawn Lynch to get down to the 1 yard line. Unless it was that amazing Jermaine Kearse. It was one of the two. And if it was Marshawn Lynch, then my thinking is, okay, we just used Marshawn Lynch to get down to the 1 yard line. New England is going to be expecting us to run the ball. So let's try and throw them off by passing it. And I think 9 times out of 10, that play works. But it was just, unfortunately, it was just the one time that didn't work, where Malcolm Butler was in the right place at the right time and he made the interception. One of my friends was telling me that another theory is that Pete Carroll wanted to make Russell Wilson the Super Bowl MVP, which doesn't make sense. Why would the coach think, oh, I don't want to win 2 Super Bowls. No, I want to make my quarterback the Super Bowl MVP. So let's pass it on the 1 yard line. No. I'm sorry, but that explanation does not fly with me. Anyway, so yeah, but even with all that, and Super Bowl 3, where Joe Namath guaranteed a victory for the Jets against the Baltimore Colts, and it ended up happening. I would still argue the best 2 words in sports are Game 7. Let me take you back through some of the Game 7s. 2016, no. Here we go. Eastern Conference Semifinals, Game 7. Kawhi Leonard, which I think he traveled a couple times on that play, but the refs didn't call it. So it is what it is. But Kawhi Leonard's shot to beat the 76ers and send them to the Eastern Conference Finals against Milwaukee. That was a Game 7. Let's see. What other iconic Game 7 moments? 2016 NBA Finals, Game 7. LeBron's block. Kyrie Irving's shot. Kevin Love's defense on Steph Curry. The block, the shot, the stop. Yeah. Let's see. 2016 Western Conference Finals, Game 7, which it never should have gotten to Game 7 if Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant hadn't choked in Game 4, I believe it was. Yeah, I believe it was Game 4. Wait. OKC won Game 1. Golden State won Game 2. Wait, let me look this up. 2016 Western Conference Finals. I believe it went. I know the Warriors won Game 1. I'm sorry. I know the Thunder won Game 1 of that series. Let's see. Okay, OKC won the first game. Then Golden State came back and won the second game. Game 3, OKC won. Game 4, OKC won. So they were up 3-1. So they essentially lost it in Game 5. There we go. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, I forgot one. 2018 Eastern Conference Finals, Game 7. Cavaliers Celtics, which the Cavaliers should not have won that game. That we did not belong in the NBA Finals that season against the Warriors. We did not. I knew, I was at the watch party. I have a video of it. You can go check that out. I might make that the video at the end. It'll probably go right here. So be on the lookout for that. But yeah, I was at the watch party at what was then Quicken Loans Arena. Of course, it's now Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. And, the crowd was going crazy. And, of course, I was going crazy too. But as we were driving home, I'm like, do we really belong in the NBA Finals with Golden State? No, we did not. And I believe Houston, yes, game set. The 2018 Western Conference Finals were Houston against Golden State. So let me bring you to the 2019 World Series, and I'll make a comparison. Okay. Before Game 1 last night, I said that if Washington wanted any type of chance to win the World Series against the Astros, they needed to win Game 1 last night. And they did. Now the pressure's all on the Astros to win Game 2. Because if they don't win Game 2, I don't see them going into Washington and beating the Nationals. I just don't. With how well the Nationals have been playing at Nationals Park. I mean, they swept the Cardinals. They split with the Dodgers at Nationals Park, and all mayhem broke loose in the NL wild card against the Brewers. Which again, with that Juan Soto play, that if Christian Yelich had been in right field, he probably wouldn't have missed the ball like the Brewers right fielder did. But the Brewers also lost that game because they went to the Josh Hader well. And I think they tried to use Josh Hader too much during the regular season, so he didn't have enough energy to sustain it in that situation because, again, the Brewers used him so much. Okay, so now that I explained that, let me take you back to the 2018 Western Conference Finals. If Houston wanted to beat the Warriors in that series, Game 1 was a must-win, and the Rockets lost. As soon as the Rockets lost lost Game 1 at home, because remember, in 2018, the Rockets had the better record than the Warriors because they were like, if we have home court advantage, we can beat the Warriors. And as soon as Golden State went into Toyota Center and beat the Rockets in Game 1 of the 2018 Western Conference Final, I'm like, that you blew it, Houston. Golden State's going to win this series now. Yeah. I'm like, as soon as the final horn sounded and Golden State won, I'm like, you're done, Houston. You have no chance at winning this series. Which they were on the verge of proving me wrong because I believe the Rockets would go on to win games 2, 3, and 4. Let me double check on that one. No. Because the Rockets won Game 5. So I believe Golden State won Game 1. Houston won Game 2. Golden State won Game 3. Houston won Game 4. And they won Game 5. But lost in Game 6 and lost in Game 7. And of course, the Rockets and their fans are like, if we didn't lose Chris Paul in that series, we would have, towards the end of Game 5, we would have won that series. Okay. This season, the Warriors were without Iguodala. I'm pretty sure they were without Durant. And there was a game where they were without Klay Thompson. And you still couldn't get it done. And you were trying to blame the refs. No, you can't do that. So, I know I reference the past a lot, but that's the type of fan I am. Yes, I like to look at the future and the current, but I enjoy watching past games. And I know I've talked about this before, but I'm going to do it again. So I've been trying to figure out if it was iTunes that took down that removed the NBA from being from the US store, or if it was the NBA that just took its content off of the US market on iTunes. And I can now definitively say that it was the NBA who took their stuff down from the US market. Because I was emailing with some people from iTunes and they were like, we have no control over that. So it was the NBA. And I tried reaching out to the NBA and emailing them, but they didn't respond. And I guess, I wasn't really expecting them to, but whatever. Although, when I reached out to them about the possibility of a team coming to Seattle, they did respond to me. So that is interesting. But anyway, I'm not going to go on a iTunes NBA tangent. Not going to do that. No. But I want to get back to one of my original points, which was about rearranging the NBA playoffs. I think it would make the NBA more competitive, more fun. Yeah, because again, the Eastern Conference is weak. The only two legitimate contenders in the Eastern Conference are who? The Milwaukee Bucks and the Philadelphia 76ers. Boston, they'll probably be a 3 seed, but I don't think they have enough. Yes, they have Kemba. Yes, they have Jason Tatum. Yes, they have Jaylen Brown, who just got handsomely paid 4 years, $115 million, which is, a star level contract. And I don't really see Jaylen Brown as a star. I think he has the chance to develop into a star. But right now, the Celtics' main star is Jason Tatum. Now, hold your horses. Don't yell at me for saying, what are you saying? Why are you saying that Kemba Walker isn't an all-star? No, Kemba Walker isn't No, Kemba Walker is an all-star. I will give you that. But he just signed with the Celtics. He was an all-star for the Charlotte Hornets, which I will be very curious what type of reception he gets when he returns to the Spectrum Center, which that could be the next arena I visit. I don't know. The arena I'm most looking forward to, though, is Pepsi Center, because I love the city of Denver. The Nuggets are my favorite Western Conference team. I'm going to admit that now. The Denver Nuggets are my favorite Western Conference team. And I just, from watching the crowd on TV or watching games on TV where the Nuggets are playing, whether that's because the Cavaliers are playing the Nuggets or it's a nationally televised game, it seems like the crowd is really into it at Pepsi Center. Although, in 2015, when I went to Oracle Arena to see the Warriors play the Spurs in a very big game, in the year that the Warriors would go on to win the championship, the crowd wasn't that into the game. I was expecting it to be like, oh my God, I can barely hear myself think. Oh my God, I need to cover my ears because the crowd noise is so loud, like this. But that wasn't the case. It was a little bit disappointing, honestly. The best crowd I've seen so far has to be Toronto. Yeah. I don't remember what year that game was off the top of my head. But yeah, Toronto was the best crowd by far. Without a doubt. Without a doubt, Toronto has been the best crowd so far. But I'm expecting big things when I go to Denver to see the Nuggets at Pepsi Center and when I go to Utah to see the Jazz at VivNet Smart Home Arena. I don't have high expectations for when I go to see the Atlanta Hawks at State Farm Arena or when I go to Charlotte to see the Hornets at Spectrum Center. I somewhat have high expectations for when I go go to see the Celtics at TD Garden. I would have had high expectations for when I went to Chesapeake Energy Arena, home of the Oklahoma City Thunder. But since they pretty much gutted their team, no, I don't really have high expectations. And, I somewhat had expectations for New Orleans, Smoothie King Center, but with Zion injured, sidelined for 6 to 8 weeks, I don't have that many expectations for their crowd. Although I might not be going to New Orleans this season. I don't know where I'm going. I do have high expectations for Portland for when I go to Moda Center to see the Trailblazers, because the Trailblazers are the only franchise in Portland, Oregon. So I have high expectations for them. I don't really have that high of expectations for when I go to FedEx Forum, home of the Memphis Grizzlies. And I don't really have high expectations for when I go back to Minnesota to see the Timberwolves. And the reason I say going back to Minnesota is because I never actually saw a Timberwolves game. So what happened was Target Center, which is designed for basketball, hosted both Disney on Ice and a college ice hockey tournament, which doesn't make sense because over in St. Paul, which is the other twin city, hence the Twin Cities, Minneapolis and St. Paul. So over in St. Paul is the XL Energy Center, home of the NHL franchise, the Minnesota Wild. And, XL Energy Center is designed to have a ice rink because, the Minnesota Wild play there. So I don't know why Disney on Ice and the college hockey tournament weren't at the Minnesota Wild's arena. But anyway, so, my dad and I are in our seats. We had just purchased or printed out our tickets from Flash Seats. We had previously, purchased them. Yeah. And one of the guys was telling us, just warning you, the game might get canceled due to condensation on the court. And I had also asked them about the use of pyrotechnics in the player introductions for the Timberwolves, because I always do that when I go to a new arena or stadium. I'll ask people who work there about pyrotechnics being used in player introductions, because I know I've said this. Sorry, just need to clean something, get some crust off my eyes super quick. But I know I've said this, but I don't really like pyrotechnics at sporting events. I mean, I'm getting better with it, but, I'm still afraid of them. Yeah. So we're in our seats, and we see the workers trying to stop the water because they're trying to wipe off the court, but the water just won't stop coming up because, again, Target Center, which is designed for basketball because it's the home of the Minnesota Timberwolves, had just hosted Disney on Ice and college ice hockey tournament. So the water the condensation just kept coming up and up and up. And the people were trying to wipe off the court, but they couldn't. So they ended up canceling the game. So I wrote on the ticket, on the Timberwolves ticket, I wrote canceled. So it doesn't count for me. It does not count unless I actually see a game. I saw the Hornets arena before when they were laying down the court, and I bought stuff like a Celtics poster at TD Garden when the Celtics had their big three of Ray Allen, Kevin Garnett, and my favorite player of all time, Paul Pierce. Yes, even though I'm a diehard Cleveland Cavaliers fan, my favorite NBA player of all time is the truth, Paul Pierce. I just think he was such a clutch shot maker, and he had some great battles with LeBron. When I say that, I instantly think of 2008 Eastern Conference semifinals, Game 7, Cavaliers at Celtics. It was amazing. I get goosebumps just thinking about that game. I love Game 7. Game 7 is simply the two best words in sports. Simple as that. So again, it's Cavaliers opening night. And they're in Orlando. Now, Orlando brings back relatively the same team that they had last season. And they're planning on running their offense through their big man, Nikola Vucevic. But they still have Aaron Gordon. They still have DJ Augustine. They still have Jonathan Isaac, Mo Bamba. I don't remember who they drafted with their first round pick this season, which I think the NBA draft should be longer than 2 rounds. I think it should be at least 3 or 4 rounds. Rounds 1 and 2 should be on one night, and rounds 3 and 4 should be on the next night. It shouldn't be as long as the NFL draft. I think the NFL draft might be a little too long, but then again, if it wasn't that long, we might not have players like Tom Brady, Richard Sherman, and some of the late round picks who have actually developed into not just great players, but all-star, superstar players, Hall of Famers, maybe the GOAT. I'd say maybe about Tom Brady because I would argue Drew Brees is the GOAT, but, that's my opinion. Regardless of the 6 Super Bowl rings, Drew Brees has done everything, like set all these passing records and touchdown records and all that, with so much less than Tom Brady. Tom Brady's had Randy Moss, Wes Welker, Julian Edelman, Rob Gronkowski, Aaron Hernandez before he went crazy, Josh Gordon, although he's done for the year because he's now placed on IR. He's had James White, Dion Lewis, who he can pass to out of the backfield. He had Martellus Bennett for a couple of years. They just traded for Mohamed Sanu. Whereas, so Brady's had all this great Brady has had all this great talent around him. Whereas, Drew Brees hasn't had that much. When the Saints won the Super Bowl in 2009, Brees had Marcus Colston, Jeremy Shockey, Devery Henderson, Reggie Bush, and Pierre Thomas. Since then, he's had Jimmy Graham traded to the Seahawks, Brandon Cooks traded to the traded to the Patriots, then traded to the Rams, and now he has Michael Thomas. But who else does he really have? I mean, yeah, he has Alvin Kamara now, and he had Mark Ingram, although Mark Ingram is now with the Ravens. And normally I don't root for the Ravens because they're a division rival of the Browns. But week 9, when they host the Patriots, heck yeah, I will be rooting for the Ravens. Because even though I'm a Browns fan, I have to be realistic. Yes, the Browns have had a bye week, and yes, the Patriots are coming off a short week, because they have Monday Night Football against the Jets. So they probably use Tuesday as a travel day, even though Boston or Foxborough, call it Boston, is 5 hours away from New York. So they probably just took a bus. So maybe they had some practice time on Tuesday. But essentially, Patriots only have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to prepare for us. Wait, that sounds familiar. Oh, I know. It's because we were in the same situation twice. Because in week 2, we had Monday Night Football against the Jets. And then week 3, we had Sunday Night Football against the Rams. So we had to use Tuesday as a travel day to go from New York back to Cleveland, meaning we only had Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to get ready for the Rams. Although we did hold them to 20 points. And if it hadn't been for some stupid play calling by Freddie Kitchens, we would have won that game and would have been moved to 2-1. And then, of course, we went on to beat the Ravens, and we would have been 3-1. And we would be having a very different conversation than what we are, where apparently Freddie Kitchens was almost fired after the Seahawks game, which, I'm not totally surprised. But, and then week 5, we had Monday Night Football against San Francisco and absolutely got demolished, which the game I'm most looking forward to this week is Panthers at 49ers. And guess what? Here in Cleveland, they're not showing that game on Fox. I believe the game that's being shown on Fox is, let me look this up. Hey, what's up, Kuram? I'm doing well. How about you? It's Cavaliers opening night. I'm just looking at something super quick. Let's see. The game they're showing on Fox on Sunday, they're only showing one game. Philadelphia at Buffalo, which I think will be a pretty good game. The Bills are playing well, 5-1. Eagles got absolutely smashed against the Cowboys. So we'll see how they respond. Yeah. So I wish they were showing that game, but they're not. But anyway, so after week 5 against San Francisco on Monday Night Football, we used a travel day to come back, to fly from San Francisco back to Cleveland, meaning we only had Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to get ready for Seattle. You call that fair? No, it's not. So, yeah. But anyway, so that's my little football tangent, which, hold on. Again, Freddie Kitchens was reportedly, I can't confirm this, I'm just saying I heard this from a report, that Freddie Kitchens was almost fired after the Seahawks game. So it's not if the Browns lose to the Patriots on Sunday, it's when the Browns lose to the Patriots on Sunday, does Freddie Kitchens get fired? I think it depends on how much the Browns lose by. But, we'll see. And everybody's saying, oh, the back half of the Browns schedule is way easier and they should be able to handle it just fine. No, not so fast. Okay, at New England, they have to play at Denver. Now, the Broncos aren't that great of a team this season, but it's always difficult to play the Broncos in Denver a mile high, and the Broncos defense is still really good. I mean, or not really good, but they're playing better. And then in week 10, you have to come home and play the Buffalo Bills, who are 5-1 and have one of the best defenses in the NFL. And then you have Thursday Night Football against the Steelers. What? You expect us to be ready after playing a tough defensive physical game against the Bills, which I expect that game to be low scoring, although I expected the game against the Seahawks to be low scoring, and it turned into 32-28. So what do I know? Yeah, but I am expecting Bills-Browns to be a low-scoring defensive battle. I'm very excited to see Josh Allen against Baker Mayfield. Yeah, and then we have Thursday Night Football against the Steelers, and then week 12 should pretty much be a bye week because we play the Miami Dolphins, although the Dolphins almost beat Buffalo, and they almost beat Washington, except they score a touchdown, and then on the 2-point conversion, they try a screen pass. But what are they, stupid? Like, even if the receiver had caught that, Washington would have sniffed it out right away and been like, nope, we're shutting this down. And then after Miami, they have to play at Pittsburgh and then home against Cincinnati, which Cincinnati is terrible. It looks like they might be tanking. So, and Zach Taylor, the former quarterbacks coach for the Rams, now the head coach of the Bengals, looks like he's way over his head. He's like, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm the coach of the Bengals. Cool. So that should be an easy win. And then week 15 at Arizona. Arizona is playing better. So that could present a challenge. And then week 16 against Baltimore. If the Browns can get their shit together, that game could potentially be two things. Number one, flexed into Sunday Night Football because the current week 16 Sunday night matchup is Chiefs-Bears, and the Bears do not look like the same team from last season. I'll get to that in a second. And I will get back to the Cavaliers because, I'm wearing Cavalier stuff. I got to talk about the Cavs. It's opening night. But this is a general live stream. So yeah. So I think if the Browns can get their shit together, the week 16 home game against the Ravens will be for a couple things. Could be a couple things. Number one, it could be the Browns have the opportunity to sweep the Ravens because we beat them in week 4 at Baltimore 40-25. Week number 2, it could be for the division if the Browns can get their shit together and figure out their offensive identity because they don't know who they are. I thought the Browns were starting to find their offensive identity in the first half of week 6 using the run game and the short dink and dump passes, which turned into deep passes to OBJ. But then in the second half, we got away from that and allowed Seattle to creep back into the game. I kind of discussed this with Norb, which, well, by the way, welcome to all the new subscribers who have subscribed to this channel because you watched the videos I did with Norb, which thanks again to Norb for letting me do those videos. Thanks again to Gangrene David for letting me do a video with him this season. The Jets and Seahawks play each other next season. So I'm expecting that Gangrene David and Norb Cam will be doing a collab together. Oh, by the way, the Falcons play the Seahawks this week, so I wouldn't be surprised if Sports Live in the ATL does a video collab with Norb Cam. Yeah. I've now lost 2 times when I've done YouTube preview with Brown's YouTube preview on YouTube with another YouTuber, which I am trying to set it up so that I can, be the one doing those collabs where it doesn't have to just be me going on being the guest on somebody else's show. Somebody can be a guest on my channel and preview a game. So hopefully I can set that up. I would love to. But anyway, yeah. And then week 17 at Cincinnati. So I don't think the Browns' back half of the schedule is as easy as everybody makes it out to be. There are some tough games like week 9 at Denver and then having to come home and play Buffalo in week 10 and then having to play week 11 on Thursday Night Football against the Steelers. Week 12 against the Dolphins should be a gimme game, although if we lose that, Freddie Kitchens is still the head coach. If we lose to the Dolphins, Freddie Kitchens should be fired like that day or on that Monday. Or if we lose to the Bengals, although we might lose to the Bengals anyway in week 17, because again, if the Browns can get their shit together, by the time week 15 rolls around, maybe we will be in a position, or week 17, the last game of the season, rolls around, we will have at least clinched a playoff spot, maybe won the division, and won't have anything to play for, so we will be resting our starters, and the Bengals will mess up their draft position by doing something called winning a game. I know Denver isn't that good, Kuram, but it's always difficult to play, a Denver team, whether it's the Nuggets or the Avalanche, although they're the Colorado Avalanche, but they still play in Denver. So it's always difficult to play, the Nuggets, the Avalanche, Broncos, Rockies on the road in Denver because Denver's the Mile High City. And the Broncos do have a good defense. But anyway, it's Cavaliers opening night, baby. And call me crazy, but with how bad the Eastern Conference is, as I said, the top two contenders are the Bucks and the 76ers. Actually, let me flip-flop that. Number 1, the 76ers. Number 2, the Bucks. But with how bad the Eastern Conference is, if we don't, call me crazy, because I know we only had 19 wins, and we have a first-year coach who coached for 40 seasons at Michigan, and he's like 66 years old. But call me crazy, and you can call me crazy, and go ahead and hold me to this. But if we don't sustain any injuries, and that's a big if, but here's another big if. If we don't trade Kevin Love or Tristan Thompson, the Cleveland Cavaliers will make the playoffs. That's right. I said it. If we don't sustain any major injuries for a major length of time, and we don't trade Kevin Love and we don't trade Tristan Thompson, the Cleveland Cavaliers will make the playoffs. I know. I said you can call me crazy, and Kuram already did. But the Eastern Conference is just that bad. That's why I'm saying change the playoff format. Instead of doing the top 8 seeds in the West and the top 8 seeds in the East and have the Eastern Conference champion meet the Western Conference champion in the NBA Finals, you have the top 16 teams in the NBA, whoever they are, whether it's East, West, whatever, they all make the playoffs. But you don't do, number 1 West against number 8 West. No, you do like number 1 West against maybe number 16 East. Or maybe it's number 1. I just think we should do away with the conference playoffs and just have it be just a league playoffs. That way, the NBA Finals can potentially be like Lakers versus Clippers, or Lakers versus Clippers, or Nuggets versus Clippers, Nuggets, Lakers. Maybe the Rockets will make the finals. I don't know. Hawks, Magic, Pistons, or maybe Heat will fight for the final 2 spots. Okay, I could see, of the teams you mentioned, Kuram, I could see the Hawks and Miami fight, but I don't see the Magic or Pistons. I mean, yeah, again, I know I said it. Orlando brought a majority of their team back from last season. But again, the Eastern Conference is just so bad that I don't, although some teams have improved, like the Nets and the Pacers, the Celtics, I think, improved. I could see the Bulls getting in the playoffs, actually. I like what the Bulls are doing with Levine, Markkanen. I don't remember who else Robin Lopez. But I'm not saying the Cavaliers, if they make the playoffs, I'm not saying the Cavaliers will be a top 5 playoff team. No, I'm not. That's crazy. No, I'm saying the Cavaliers would be 6 to 8, probably more in 7 to 8 range. So I don't think the Magic will be in the playoffs. I just don't see it. So Yeah, I'd like to see the NBA change the playoffs. Don't do away with the Eastern Conference playoffs and the Western Conference playoffs. Make it just the top 16 teams in the league make the playoffs. Just do that. And maybe you would probably end up having it be 1 versus 16, 2 versus 15, 3 versus 14, 4 versus 13, 5 versus 12, 6 versus 11, 7 versus 10, 8 versus 9. And with that playoff format, you could potentially end up with, Lakers, Clippers, NBA Finals, or Nuggets, Jazz, NBA Finals, something like that. I just think it would make the league more exciting. Because again, I believe I saw a list that, like, of the top 6 players in the NBA right now, only 2 of them are in the Eastern Conference. Only 2 of them. Hang on. Yeah. So it's gonna be an interesting season. Lakers and Clippers played each other last night in round 1 of the Battle of Los Angeles, and surprisingly, Kawhi Leonard was booed in his own arena, although there was a huge contingency of Lakers fans at that game last night. But Kawhi Leonard severely outplayed LeBron last night. Severely. If it had not been for Danny Green hitting all those 3-pointers and various shots, the Lakers would have been blown out last night. There were 2 superstars on the court. Anthony Davis isn't a superstar yet. I think he's almost there, but not yet. And only one of them showed up, which was Kawhi Leonard. And you see all Kawhi with these New Balance commercials like, LA is mine now, and like you see a little crown swinging, which is, the king, like an indication to LeBron, and he's like, I'm coming for you. Now, I did hear something interesting yesterday, because I like to watch First Take and on First Take with Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman, and I also like to watch Undisputed with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp, and all those various shows. And I heard that Kawhi Leonard was willing to stay in Toronto, but he wanted Paul George. And he was telling Masai Ujiri, the Raptors GM, if you want Paul George, you're going to have to trade Pascal Siakam. And Masai Ujiri said, no, I'm not trading Masai Ujiri. Wow. My mistake. I meant to say, Masai Ujiri came out and said, no, I am not trading Pascal Siakam. So this is what Kawhi Leonard said. Bye, Toronto. Yeah, so Kawhi Leonard went, bye, Toronto. Hope you enjoyed your 1 championship. Because now, without me, you're a mid-level team. Not in NBA. You're not going to... The Raptors will be a threat in the East, but they're not good enough now to make the NBA Finals. Yeah. So again, I know I've said it once, or I've said it many times, and I will say it again. The only two contenders in the Eastern Conference are the 76ers and the Bucks. That's it. That's it. But if Ben Simmons can actually develop a jump shot, well, it sounds like he's been working on his jump shot. And from what I've seen in highlights of the preseason, it looks like his jump shot has improved. So if he's actually willing to take a jump shot, 76ers can be a dangerous team. Yes, I know they lost Jimmy Butler, but they got Josh Richardson. Now, he's not the scorer Jimmy Butler is. And I get that. And he's not the same defender Jimmy Butler is. But Josh Richardson can score. And he can play defense. And Philadelphia was able to sign Al Horford away from Boston. So now the 76ers starting lineup is Ben Simmons, Josh Richardson, Tobias Harris, Al Horford, and Joel Embiid. That's a pretty formidable starting lineup. I will admit, I would love to see a Clippers 76ers NBA Finals. That would be a great series. But again, I think it would be so much more fun to see Clippers, Lakers, not in the Western Conference Finals, but in the NBA Finals. So I would love to see the NBA change their playoff format. So again, that there's no longer the Eastern Conference playoffs and there's no longer the Western Conference playoffs. It's just, okay, you're the top 16 teams in the league. You all make the playoffs. There you go. And if it ends up being West versus West in the NBA Finals, great. Then that proves who the actual best team is. If the NBA Finals somehow turns out to be East against East, cool. Then it proves that, say, the 76ers are the best team in the NBA. I'm not saying the 76ers are going to win the finals. No, I'm just saying that as an example. I think once Paul George gets back, the LA Clippers will win the NBA championship this season. You can hold me to that now. The LA Clippers will win the NBA Finals. And if they do, then LeBron is not. If the Clippers win the NBA Finals this season, then LeBron James will not, I repeat, will not win a title with the Lakers. Yeah. What do I think about the World Series? That's a great question, Kuram. I addressed this a little bit earlier, but I'll address it again because what the heck. I said that if the Nationals wanted a chance to have any type of chance at winning the World Series against Houston, they needed to win. Then game one was a must-win for them. And what happened? They get down 2-0 early, but then Ryan Zimmerman hits a solo home run, and then Juan Soto hits a solo home run, and then he comes up again and has a 2-run double to put the Nationals up 5-2, and then George Springer came 3 feet away from tying it, and the Nationals were able to escape with a game one win. Now, all the pressure is on the Astros. If the Astros lose tonight in game 2 at home, they're not winning the series. The Nationals have been extremely difficult to beat at Nationals Park. I mean, they swept the Cardinals in the NLCS, although the Cardinals didn't present that big of a challenge. I think the Cardinals used all their energy to beat the Braves in Game 5 when they absolutely destroyed them 13-1 when they put up 10 runs in the first inning. Of course I'm going to watch the CAVS. I mean, geez, it's opening night. The first game I'll be at this season is October 30th when the Cavaliers play the Chicago Bulls. which I expect to be a very interesting season series. I think it will be a very even matched series. I don't think. I've memorized the first 4 games of the Cavaliers' schedule. Tonight against the Cavs are in Orlando. Saturday the 26th is the Cavaliers' home opener against Indiana. Then on the 28th, the Cavaliers will travel to Fiserv Forum to take on the reigning MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Milwaukee Bucks. And then on the 30th, they will play the Chicago Bulls. And then I believe their next game is November 3rd against the Dallas Mavericks. Let me take a look. I'm not going to read the whole 82-game schedule for the Cavaliers because that's just too long. But let me at least give you October and November. So tonight at Orlando, October 26th, home against Indiana. So that's the home opener. I guess, not the grand opening of Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse because I was actually at the grand opening event for Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. It looks really good now. So anyway, so October 23rd, that's tonight at Orlando. October 26th, home opener against Indiana. October 28th at Milwaukee. October 30th, home against Chicago. November 1st at Indiana. November 3rd, home against the Dallas Mavericks, who I think will make the playoffs. Yep, I said it. The Dallas Mavericks will make the playoffs, and I am going to that game. I am also going to October 30th against the Bulls. Or November 5th, home against the Celtics. November 8th at the Washington Wizards. And that game will actually be on ESPN, which I feel bad for Bradley Beal. He just signed a 2-year contract extension with the Wizards. John Wall, I think, is out for the year. So the Wizards are going to be nothing. And the only reason fans are going to go to Capital One Arena for the Wizards games is because of him. I feel bad for him and Devin Booker. That's the only reason people go to Suns games is because they want to see Devin Booker. Right now, I think the Suns should trade Devin Booker and the Wizards should trade Bradley Beal. Yeah, but anyway, November 8th at the Wizards is on ESPN. November 10th at the New York Knicks on Madison Square Garden. So that should be a fairly easy win. November 12th at Philadelphia. So that will be very difficult. November 14th, home against Miami. Middle of, in between easy and hard. Easy and difficult. November 17th, home against Philadelphia. November 18th at the New York Knicks. November 20th at the Miami Heat. November 22nd at the Dallas Mavericks. November 23rd, home against the Portland Trailblazers. November 25th, home against the Brooklyn Nets. November 27th, home against the Orlando Magic. November 29th, home against the Milwaukee Bucks. And December 3rd is home against the Detroit Pistons. December 6th is home against Orlando. And December 7th at Philadelphia. And December 9th at Boston. So that's the early portion of the Cavaliers' schedule. Suns will be better this season. Not that better. Yeah, I agree. I don't think the Suns will be a playoff team, but maybe they're showing some improvement. But still, they're wasting Devin Booker's career. He put up 70 points in a game against the Celtics last season, and the Celtics still won that game. Your top player scores 70 points. and your team still finds a way to lose. Something is wrong with you. You hear me, Phoenix? Something is wrong with you. But I know I discussed this a little bit earlier, but I'm actually a little bit upset. I'm a little bit upset with the NBA. Because I like to go on my iPad and watch like NBA games of the year, the NBA playoffs, and the NBA finals. And up until last year, the NBA playoffs were available to buy on iTunes. And for some reason, the NBA decided to make their stuff, take their so the so no, it's not the China situation. So sorry, I lost my train of thought a little bit, which does happen. So I like to go on my iPad and watch old games, whether it's, the World Series from 2016 or, Game 5 of the 2008 World Series, which had started and then got suspended and then got picked up again the next day. Or 2011 World Series Game 6. Or 2013 World Series Game 3, but not just World Series, like NFL Games of the Year, Super Bowls, Stanley Cup Finals, Stanley Cup Playoffs, NHL Games of the Year. You get the idea. But what I most like to watch is NBA Games of the Year, NBA Playoffs, and the NBA Finals, which I put in a different category than the NBA Playoffs because it's the NBA Finals. Yeah. And up until last year, those things were available to buy on iTunes. But for some reason this year, the NBA decided to take those things off of iTunes and make them not available in the US market, which I kind of hate because now I can't buy games like 2018 Eastern Conference Finals Game 7 Cavaliers at Celtics, or Kobe Bryant's last game with the Lakers, or the 2015 NBA Finals, which if Kyrie Irving hadn't just broken his knee in Game 1, and if Kelly Olynyk hadn't been a bitch and pulled out Kevin Love's shoulder in Game 4 of the first round series between the Cavaliers and Celtics, everybody agrees the Cavaliers would have won the championship that year. But it was still a great series, so I wish I could go back and buy that. And I wish I could go back and buy the 2016 NBA playoffs. So, I'm disappointed in the NBA for doing that. So, I tried to email the NBA about it and got no response. I found out it was the NBA because I emailed people from Apple, and they said, we don't control that. Like, the various leagues and all that, they put their stuff, make what they want available on iTunes. So pretty much they were telling me, yes, it's the NBA who took the stuff off iTunes. So yeah, that's why I'm disappointed in the league. Yeah, Cavaliers tip off in about a half an hour, so getting excited for that. World Series starts in about an hour. You also have the Celtics playing at the 76ers and the Nuggets playing at the Trailblazers. So those should be two exciting games. Trailblazers Nuggets was a great playoff series in the last season, which the Trailblazers won in 7 games and then promptly got swept by the Warriors in the Western Conference Finals. Although the Trailblazers held a double-digit lead in that series in not 1, not 2, but 3 games. And they blew the lead in all 3. And I believe in game 1, the Warriors just straight up blew out the Trailblazers. Yeah. So that's a lot. Yeah. I'm not as much as I'm excited for UFC 244, Masvidal against Diaz at Madison Square Garden. There's no championships on the championship fights on the card. So I don't really have a desire to watch it. So I'm going to pass on that card. Plus, I know that later on, ESPN Plus will make it available, and I'll go back and watch it then. But the next pay-per-view I'm going to watch will be UFC 245, which will have not 1, not 2, but 3 championship fights. The main event will be Kamaru Usman against Colby Covington for the welterweight belt, a fight I have been waiting for so long. I mean, ever since Usman beat Tyron Woodley at UFC 235 to win the welterweight belt, this is all Colby Covington has been doing. Yip, yap, yip, yap, yip, yip, yap, yip, yap, yip, yap, just running his mouth. I mean, he went out and destroyed Robbie Lawler, and, Usman and Covington just don't like each other. So I'm expecting that main event to be absolutely explosive. And then the co-main event will be for the featherweight belt between Max Holloway and Alexander Volkanovski. I expect this to be I expect it to be a fantastic fight between Holloway and Volkanovski. Holloway has never faced an opponent with the type of strength that Volkanovski possesses. So we'll see how Holloway deals with that. And the third title fight will be for the bantamweight belt between Amanda Nunes and Germaine de Randamie in a rematch of their first fight, which I don't know when that first fight was, and I don't know who won that first fight. But anyway, the UFC will probably get rid of the women's featherweight belt because ever since Nunes beat Cyborg at UFC 239, I believe. No. At UFC 232, I'm sorry. She hasn't defended it because Cyborg, eventually got released by the UFC. And now she's back with Bellator. So, which is another fight company. Yeah. So, yeah. So that's going to do it for this live stream. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, punch that like button like a UFC fighter and punch that subscribe button. I can't believe I'm already up to 240 subscribers. I never thought I would even get close to 100. So to be at almost 300 subscribers is amazing. Maybe one day I'll get to 1,000 subscribers. Hey, you never know. But just so you know, I don't just make these videos for myself. No, I make these videos because I want to express my opinions with you, the viewers. And that's why I enjoy doing live streams, is because, I can interact with you, the viewer, through the chat, which unfortunately, I don't know how to display the chat on the actual stream. I wish I did. maybe one day I'll learn how to do that. Like just like how one day I want to learn how to host a collaboration with another YouTuber so that it's not always me going on someone else's channel. I want to be able to host another YouTuber on my channel to preview a Browns game against an opponent. Yeah. Like the Browns play the Bills in week 10. I'd like to figure out how to host how to host a Skype call and post it on YouTube. And I would like to do that preview with a YouTuber named Guitarlone, I believe his name is. I'll post his link in the description. But again, I can't believe we are almost at 300 subscribers. I say we because, again, this channel isn't just for me, it's for you. That's why I do these videos, to express my opinions, and so you can hear what I have to say about certain topics, but then I can interact with you, the viewer, in the chat, and, we can have conversations, which sometimes turn into, heated discussions. Sometimes I wouldn't say it turns into an argument, but sometimes the chat can turn into a little bit of a heated debate, which I'm fine with because I love interacting with you, the viewer. So thank you. Let's keep it up. It's going to be amazing when we get to 300 subscribers. And maybe again, one day we'll get to 500 subscribers and then 1,000 subscribers. But that won't be for a little bit. But, oh, wait. No, I'll do that. I'll talk about that in a different video. Yeah. So about 20 minutes till the Cavaliers tip off their season in Orlando. Again, I have three predictions. Number one, the Los Angeles Clippers will win the championship this season. Number two, the Cavaliers will make the playoffs this season as a 6 to 8 seed. And number three, if number one happens, the Clippers winning the championship this season, then LeBron will not win a championship with the Lakers. Yeah. Oh, wait, one more thing. I want to go through who I think is going to make the playoffs on each side. So let's start with the West. The number one seed, I think, will be the Denver Nuggets. I like what they have with Gary Harris, the Joker, Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, Will Barton. I don't think they have Millsap still. I don't remember. But I still like what they have. So Nuggets, number one. Number two will be the Clippers. Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Patrick Beverley, Montrezl Harrell, Lou Williams. They're a good team. Number three seed, the Lakers. LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Kyle Kuzma. But they don't really have a point guard right now. Number four seed will be the Utah Jazz. Number five seed, the Houston Rockets. I know that might be a bit of a surprise, but I just think the other four teams are better than the Rockets right now. Number six seed, Portland. Number seven seed, I'm going to say San Antonio. And number eight, I'm still going to put in the Warriors. The Warriors will not miss the playoffs. They will get in just as an 8 seed. Now to the Eastern Conference. Number one seed, Philadelphia. Number two seed will be Milwaukee. Number one, I'm going to say Philadelphia because Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, Al Horford, Josh Richardson, Tobias Harris. That's a dangerous starting lineup. Two seed with Milwaukee, Giannis. They still have Middleton. They did lose Brogdon, but they still have Bledsoe, Giannis, Middleton, Brook Lopez. Yeah. Number three seed, I'm going to say Boston. I think their offense will flow a bit better now without Kyrie. And they have Kemba, Jaylen Brown, who should not have gotten paid the amount of money he did. And I really like Jason Tatum. Number 4, I will say the Indiana Pacers. Even though they lost Bogdanovich, who's now with the Utah Jazz, I still like what they have with Oladipo, Darren Collison. They brought in Malcolm Brogdon. I like Sabonis. I think the Pacers will be a dangerous team. Number 5, I will say Brooklyn, because the Nets were already a dangerous team, and they gave the 76ers a fight in the first round, even though that series only went 5 games. Number 6 will be Toronto. I think the Raptors can still be a playoff team, but not nearly as good as last season. Number 7 seed will be us, the Cavaliers. No. Number 7 seed will be Miami. No. I have to put the Cavaliers in. Number 6 will be Toronto. Number 7 will be Miami. Yep. Miami will be 7. Cavaliers will be 8. And Chicago just misses at number 9. Just misses. And I mean barely. Yeah. So those are my playoff predictions. And the NBA Finals will be Clippers, 76ers, and the Clippers win the NBA championship in 6 games. There you go. And my MVP, not Giannis, not Steph, Harden. No, I'm going to say, I think Kawhi Leonard wins the MVP this season. I do. I do. Yeah. So there you go. Rookie of the Year, not Zion, because he's out 6 to 8 weeks. Who I don't even remember who else got drafted. I know the Cavs drafted Darius Garland. 2019 NBA draft. Let's see. No. Ja Morant will win Rookie of the Year for the Grizzlies, which Memphis will be a tough team. And I think they will just miss the playoffs. And Sacramento will definitely improve this season, but they will also just miss. Or maybe you could switch Sacramento and San Antonio. Yeah, that could be a possibility. Yeah. So, no, I'm not going to switch Sacramento and San Antonio. San Antonio will make the playoffs. Sacramento will just miss. And then Defensive Player of the Year, I'm going to say Rudy Gobert. Yes. Most Improved Player, De'Aaron Fox. Yep. So those are my predictions. So again, I hope you enjoyed this live stream. If you did, punch that like button like a UFC player and punch that subscribe button. So until next time, this is Unger to the Max signing off with a salute to you. Go Cavs, beat the Magic. I'm not going to say go Browns, beat the Patriots, because I know the Patriots are going to beat the Browns. I just know that.